In a peaceful suburban home nestled on a quiet street lined with matured trees and blooming gardens. Life usually followed a comforting routine. The Smith family's house was a sanctuary of warmth and familiarity. Every morning, soft sunlight filtered through the windows, casting gentle patterns on the walls, while the sounds of birdsong filled the air. Inside, the family, composed of parents Linda and Mark, their teenage daughter Emma, and their beloved Pitbull, Rocky, shared moments of togetherness that defined their bond. Rocky, with his strong, athletic build and gentle eyes, had been a part of the family for years. Known for his quiet loyalty and remarkable sensitivity, he was more than just a pet. He was a steadfast guardian who always seemed to understand the unspoken moods of his human companions. One cool autumn evening, as the family gathered around the dinner table to share a meal and conversation, a seemingly ordinary day began to reveal signs of an unforeseen crisis. Linda had just prepared a dish that, unknown to her, contained an ingredient to which one of the family members was severely allergic. For years, subtle allergies had been managed with care and occasional antihistamines. However, that day, the reaction was different. It was sudden, overwhelming, and life-threatening. Within minutes of finishing dinner, Mark began to show signs of distress. His breathing grew labored, his skin flushed, and soon small hives started to appear on his arms and neck. The changes were so abrupt that the initial expressions of confusion on his face quickly turned to panic. Rocky, who had been resting near the foot of the dining table, immediately sensed that something was very wrong. His ears pricked up and his eyes widened in alarm as he observed the rapid changes in Mark's behavior. There was an intensity in Rocky's gaze, a mixture of concern and determination, that set him apart from his usual calm demeanor. As Mark slumped forward, clutching his chest and gasping for air, Rocky began to pace frantically around him. His barks, initially soft and inquisitive, grew louder and more insistent. The Pitbull's behavior was unlike anything the family had seen before. It was as if he was trying desperately to alert everyone to a danger that was invisible yet imminent. Linda, alarmed by Rocky's persistent barking and the distress on Mark's face, rushed to his side. In the chaos that ensued, the family scrambled to help Mark, trying to remember the emergency procedures they had once read about for severe allergic reactions. Meanwhile, Rocky continued his vigilant patrol around the room. He moved from one family member to another, his eyes locked on Mark, and his body language communicated an urgency that words could not capture. The dog's deep, resonant barks filled the room and, at times, were punctuated by a series of anxious whines. It was clear that Rocky's keen senses had detected a critical shift in the environment, a chemical change that heralded a dangerous, systemic reaction in his owner. As minutes stretched on, Linda's initial shock gave way to action. She remembered that Mark had been prescribed an epinephrine auto-injector for emergencies. With trembling hands, she fumbled for the small device in a drawer that she had assumed was in its usual place. Rocky circled around, as if urging her to hurry, his barks growing more insistent. In the background, Emma, awakened by the commotion, watched in wide-eyed disbelief as the events unfolded. The atmosphere was charged with fear, urgency, and the desperate hope that time would be on their side. Linda managed to administer the epinephrine, and for a few heart-stopping moments, the room was filled with tense silence as they waited for the medication to take effect. Rocky's eyes never left Mark's face. His presence was a constant reassurance, a silent promise that help had not abandoned them. Gradually, Mark's labored breathing eased, and the redness of his skin began to subside. The immediate danger appeared to be averted, but the family knew that this episode was a stark reminder of how swiftly life could change, and how essential it was to be prepared for the unseen hazards that lurk in everyday moments. In the aftermath of the crisis, as emergency services arrived and took over, interviews with the family revealed a complex tapestry of emotions. Mark, though still shaken, expressed profound gratitude for his family's quick thinking and, most of all, for Rocky's heroic intervention. "I remember feeling completely overwhelmed," Mark later recounted in an interview, his voice steady yet tinged with lingering fear. "But then I saw Rocky's eyes, full of determination and care, and I knew that I wasn't alone. His actions not only saved my life that night but reminded me of the unbreakable bond we share." The incident sparked conversations in the community about the remarkable abilities of animals to sense danger. Local news channels covered the story extensively, featuring interviews with emergency responders, allergists, and animal behavior experts. A renowned allergist explained that severe allergic reactions could escalate rapidly, often within minutes, and that early detection was key to preventing fatal outcomes. "It's fascinating," the expert noted, "that dogs, with their extraordinarily sensitive senses, can sometimes detect the subtle biochemical changes in a person's body that precede a full-blown allergic reaction." His comments lent scientific weight to the family's experience, transforming Rocky's behavior into a subject of both medical and emotional interest. Beyond the clinical explanations, the human element of the story resonated deeply with viewers. Social media exploded with posts and hashtags such as #RockyTheRescuer and #GuardianPitbull, as people from all over the region shared their own experiences of how their pets had alerted them to danger. The story transcended its immediate context, inspiring others to pay closer attention to the subtle signs that sometimes herald a crisis. In online forums, discussions abounded about the importance of having well-trained pets, regular allergy checks, and proper storage of medications, all measures that, in this case, had come together to save a life. Local community centers and support groups for families dealing with allergies and chronic health conditions began to invite the Smith family to speak about their experience. At one such event, Linda recounted the terrifying moments of that night, emphasizing how Rocky's alert behavior was the turning point that allowed them to act in time. "Our dog saved my husband's life," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I can't overstate the gratitude we feel, not just for the medical intervention, but for the quiet, steadfast love that Rocky showed us." Her words struck a chord with many in attendance, and the story became a powerful testament to the role of animal intuition in everyday health emergencies. Over the following weeks, the family took steps to ensure that such an incident would never catch them unprepared again. They installed additional carbon monoxide detectors, conducted thorough reviews of all their medications and emergency procedures, and even began to participate in local community safety workshops. In these sessions, they shared insights about how a dog's keen senses can serve as an early warning system, not only for severe allergic reactions but also for a variety of potential hazards that might otherwise go unnoticed. Experts at these workshops praised Rocky's behavior, noting that his alertness was a remarkable example of how domesticated animals, when given proper training and care, could serve as invaluable extensions of human senses. As the months passed, Rocky's role in the Smith household evolved from that of a family pet to that of a trusted guardian and a silent guardian angel. His daily routines continued to reflect a deep bond with his family. He was seen gently nuzzling Mark during moments of quiet reflection, resting his head on Linda's lap while she read, and even playfully engaging with Emma during her school projects. Each day, his presence was a reminder of the night when his instincts had cut short what could have been a tragedy. Neighbors and friends began to speak of Rocky in hushed, reverent tones, a dog whose love and loyalty had saved a life, and whose actions had given the community a renewed sense of hope. Local media continued to follow the family's journey, with follow-up segments and in-depth interviews that explored the broader implications of their experience. Health experts discussed the physiology of allergic reactions, while animal behaviorists delved into the scientific underpinnings of canine olfaction. One expert, speaking at a regional health conference, explained that dogs could detect chemical markers associated with stress, inflammation, and allergic reactions at concentrations far below human perception. "Rocky's ability to sense these changes is nothing short of extraordinary," he remarked, his voice filled with admiration. "It opens up a world of possibilities for how we can use animal-assisted interventions to enhance safety and well-being in everyday life." The story also spurred technological advancements in the field of medical alert systems. Inspired by Rocky's natural abilities, several startups began exploring ways to integrate canine-inspired sensors into wearable devices, aiming to detect early signs of allergic reactions or other health emergencies. Although such innovations were still in their infancy, the potential was immense, and many experts believed that the Smith family's experience could pave the way for a new era of human-animal collaboration in healthcare. In the quiet moments that followed the initial chaos, the Smith family would often reflect on the unpredictable nature of life. Sitting together in the soft glow of evening light, they spoke of gratitude for the ordinary moments that they once took for granted, the warmth of a shared meal, the comfort of a gentle touch, the simple joy of a dog's unwavering companionship. Mark, who had once harbored deep fears about the fragility of his health, began to see each day as a precious gift. "Every time I look at Rocky, I'm reminded that life can change in an instant," he said during one reflective conversation. "But with love, with loyalty, and with the support of those around you, even the most frightening challenges can be overcome." As the narrative of that fateful night continued to unfold, the story of Rocky and the Smith family reached far beyond their own household. Social media platforms were filled with video clips, photographs, and heartfelt testimonials from people who had been touched by the tale. Comments flooded in from viewers across the country, many expressing that they had never realized the true potential of a dog's senses or the profound impact that a compassionate pet could have on one's quality of life. Hashtags such as #GuardianRocky and #LifesavingDog trended in local communities, sparking discussions about the importance of preparedness and the often overlooked role of pets in maintaining health and safety. Community centers and local schools embraced the story as an educational tool. Workshops on emergency preparedness began to incorporate segments on recognizing the subtle signs of medical crises, lessons that were illustrated through reenactments of Rocky's alert behavior. In one memorable session, a local safety officer demonstrated how even minor changes in a person's physiology could trigger significant reactions in a trained animal. Parents and children alike listened in awe, inspired by the idea that vigilance and compassion could come from the most unexpected quarters. In a series of heartfelt interviews recorded by a local television station, Linda and Mark recounted the harrowing moments of that night with a blend of vulnerability and pride. "It was a night I'll never forget," Linda said softly, her eyes glistening with tears. "Rocky's actions gave us the chance to save Mark's life. Every bark, every nudge, it was as if he was telling us to be strong, to take care of one another, no matter what." Mark added, "I've lived with the fear of a severe reaction for years. But that night, Rocky's instinct transformed that fear into hope. It's a reminder that we're never truly alone in our struggles." Their testimonies resonated deeply with viewers, further cementing the story's place as a powerful example of the transformative power of the human-animal bond. As seasons changed and the memory of that critical night began to soften into a series of cherished memories, the Smith family made a conscious effort to honor Rocky's legacy. They dedicated time each day to check on their emergency supplies, conduct regular health checks, and engage in activities that celebrated the value of preparedness. In community gatherings, the family would share their experiences, encouraging others to invest in safety measures, to learn about the signs of allergic reactions, and to appreciate the extraordinary contributions that well-trained pets can make in protecting lives. Local advocacy groups and animal welfare organizations also took up the mantle of Rocky's legacy. A campaign was launched to raise awareness about the importance of medical alert systems in homes, with a special emphasis on the role that pets can play as natural early warning devices. Community events, online forums, and local news stories highlighted the need for regular maintenance of medications and safety devices, urging families to be proactive in safeguarding their health. Rocky's story has inspired us to take better care of our homes and our loved ones. One community leader remarked at a public meeting, "It's a testament to the fact that sometimes the smallest, most unassuming gestures can have a profound impact on our well-being." In academic circles, the story of Rocky's timely intervention began to influence research on canine behavior and medical alert systems. Universities and research institutes collaborated on studies exploring the sensitivity of dogs to chemical markers in the human body, with preliminary findings suggesting that such instincts could one day be harnessed to create advanced wearable alert systems. These innovative ideas, discussed in symposiums and published in scientific journals, added an exciting technological dimension to what had originally been a deeply personal and emotional experience for the Smith family. Through it all, Rocky remained a gentle, steady presence, a silent guardian whose every action was imbued with the quiet strength of unconditional love. Even as the family's life returned to a semblance of normalcy, The memory of that night remained an enduring source of inspiration. On quiet evenings, as the family sat together watching the sunset, Mark would often glance over at Rocky, his heart swelling with gratitude for the dog who had given them a second chance. "Rocky saved me that night," he would say softly, "and his vigilance reminds me every day that love and care can conquer even the most unexpected challenges." In the end, the story of Rocky's heroic detection of a severe allergic reaction evolved into a powerful narrative of resilience, preparedness, and the transformative power of a loyal pet. It was a story that transcended the immediate crisis, reaching into every aspect of the Smith family's life and extending far beyond their home to influence community safety, technological innovation, and the way people viewed the extraordinary capabilities of their animal companions. As the narrative of that critical night was shared in classrooms, community meetings, and national media outlets, it served as a timeless reminder that sometimes the most profound guardians come on four legs, and that the simplest acts of care can spark a revolution of hope. In the hours following the emergency, as the immediate threat of Mark's allergic reaction began to subside, a heavy silence enveloped the Smith household, a silence filled with shock, relief, and the weight of realization that something extraordinary had just occurred. The family huddled together in the living room, their eyes still wide with residual fear, while soft ambient light from a nearby lamp illuminated the traces of distress on their faces. Outside, the world continued its nocturnal rhythm, unaware that in one modest home, lives had been altered forever by the keen instincts of a devoted dog. As Mark slowly regained his strength in the sterile yet comforting environment of the hospital, his family sat by his bedside, their expressions a mixture of gratitude and deep concern. In quiet moments of reflection during the long hours of recovery, the Smiths would recount the series of events that led to his rescue. They spoke, with emotion lacing every word, of how Rocky's alert behavior had been the first sign that something was terribly wrong. His persistent pacing, the unusual intensity in his eyes, and the series of sharp barks had shattered the normalcy of that evening, compelling them to act swiftly. In those recollections, Mark's voice was often husky with a mixture of pain and gratitude as he described how he had barely managed to recall his training and retrieve his epinephrine auto-injector, all while Rocky maintained his protective vigil at his side. Back at home, a transformation took place as the family began to understand the profound implications of what had occurred. They organized a series of informal meetings with neighbors and close friends, gathering in the cozy warmth of their living room to share experiences, express their gratitude, and discuss the lessons they had learned. Over cups of steaming tea and soft, reassuring conversation, they discussed the importance of preparedness for medical emergencies, emphasizing that even the slightest hint of danger could be detected by someone or something if only one remained vigilant. The family's narrative quickly evolved from one of a near-tragic oversight to a celebration of an unexpected guardian whose innate senses had saved a life. Local media soon caught wind of the incident. Within days, television stations and newspapers began featuring heartfelt stories of the Smith family's ordeal. A local news segment, filmed in a softly lit hospital room where Mark lay recovering, captured the raw emotion of the family as they recounted the chain of events. In one poignant interview, Mark, his voice trembling with emotion, described the night in vivid detail, how the normally calm atmosphere of their home had been shattered by Rocky's anxious barks, and how that very noise had been the catalyst for a swift, life-saving response. "I don't remember the moment clearly," he confessed, "but I know that I felt a sudden surge of relief when I saw Rocky by my side. It was as if he was urging me to fight, to not give in to the panic." His testimony resonated with viewers, many of whom were moved by the authenticity of his words and the evident bond between man and dog. Interviews with emergency responders added another layer of depth to the story. A paramedic, who had been among the first on the scene, recounted how the timely administration of medication, prompted by Rocky's behavior, had made all the difference. "It's a miracle," the paramedic said in a recorded interview, "that a pet's alertness can be the first line of defense against something as insidious as an allergic reaction. Rocky's actions allowed us to intervene before the situation escalated to a point where it could have been fatal." Such accounts not only led credibility to the Smith family's experience but also sparked a broader conversation about the potential for trained animals to serve as early warning systems for medical emergencies. In community meetings held at local centers and even at neighborhood watch gatherings, residents spoke passionately about the need to recognize and harness the incredible capabilities of their pets. Some recalled personal anecdotes where their own dogs had alerted them to subtle changes in their health or warned them of dangers that went unnoticed. These stories, shared in a spirit of camaraderie and concern, began to shape a new perspective on animal behavior, one that recognized the profound intelligence and sensitivity inherent in our four-legged companions. As the weeks turned into months, the incident prompted tangible changes in the Smith family's daily routines. Recognizing the fragility of life and the importance of being prepared, they installed additional medical alert devices, replaced old batteries in their detectors, and meticulously organized an emergency kit that was easily accessible at all times. More than just a set of practical measures, these actions served as a symbolic tribute to Rocky's silent heroism. Every time the family gathered around the dining table or settled in the living room, there was an unspoken acknowledgement of the night when their loyal dog had alerted them to a hidden peril, a night that had underscored the need for vigilance and compassion in everyday life. The transformative impact of that event extended well beyond the immediate circle of the Smith household. Local community centers began hosting workshops on emergency preparedness, often inviting healthcare professionals to speak about the importance of recognizing early warning signs of allergic reactions and other medical crises. These sessions, held in rooms filled with attentive residents and lively discussion, were peppered with references to Rocky's behavior as a case study. One respected allergist explained in detail how severe allergic reactions can escalate rapidly, and how even a few seconds of early intervention can be the difference between life and death. It's a call to action, the allergist said during one session, and sometimes, that call comes in the form of a loving pet whose instincts are sharper than any alarm. His words echoed in the community long after the workshop ended, reinforcing a newfound sense of shared responsibility and preparedness. Local animal behaviorists and pet trainers took a special interest in Rocky's actions as well. They conducted informal sessions at the community center, demonstrating the types of cues that well-trained dogs use to alert their owners to impending danger. In these sessions, participants were encouraged to observe the subtle shifts in a dog's behavior, whether it was a change in posture, a particular pattern of barking, or an increase in pacing, and to understand that these signals could sometimes forewarn of a critical situation. Rocky's example was used to illustrate how natural instincts, when honed by a loving environment and proper training, could become an invaluable asset in safeguarding health. Rocky is a perfect example of how a pet can transcend the role of a companion. One trainer noted during a live demonstration, "He's a vigilant guardian whose every action is driven by loyalty and an innate desire to protect his family." As time went on, the story of Rocky's heroic alert became interwoven with local public health campaigns. Several local charities and healthcare organizations began to emphasize the importance of having reliable medical alert systems in homes. And they used the Smith family's experience as a powerful reminder of how quickly a crisis can unfold. Informational pamphlets, community bulletin boards, and even online safety seminars featured images and short testimonials from the Smith family, urging residents to take proactive steps to safeguard themselves against unexpected medical emergencies. The campaign's reach was extensive, touching not only the immediate neighborhood but also inspiring similar initiatives in other communities across the region. In the quiet moments that followed the frenzy of that life-threatening night, the Smith family began to rebuild not only their physical sense of security but also their emotional resilience. They found comfort in routine, simple acts of daily life that, in retrospect, took on new meaning. Every morning, as the family gathered for breakfast, there was a shared, unspoken gratitude for the safety that now seemed all the more precious. Mark, whose near crisis had forced him to confront the fragility of life, often expressed his deep appreciation for Rocky's vigilant presence. "Every time I see him," he would say, "I'm reminded that there's always someone watching out for us, even when we think we're alone." His words, delivered in quiet moments of reflection, resonated with everyone, reinforcing the profound connection between the family and their loyal guardian. The impact of Rocky's intervention also rippled through the local media. Over the following months, a series of documentaries and news features revisited the event, providing updates on the Smith family's progress and exploring the broader implications of canine alert behavior in emergency situations. Interviews with medical experts, pet trainers, and even neuroscientists delved into the remarkable abilities of dogs to detect changes in human physiology. These segments not only brought scientific validation to the family's story but also helped dispel myths about the limitations of pet behavior, painting a picture of a world where human and animal partnerships could enhance safety in ways previously unimagined. In one particularly moving segment, a renowned scientist explained how the olfactory receptors in dogs are exponentially more sensitive than those in humans, allowing them to detect chemical changes associated with stress, inflammation, and allergic reactions long before these changes become apparent to us. The footage, intercut with scenes of Rocky calmly sitting by Mark's side during a moment of recovery, served as a powerful visual metaphor for the invisible ties that bind us to our animal companions. It's not just instinct, the scientist remarked. It's a deep, biological connection that, when nurtured, can act as an early warning system for life-threatening conditions. As public awareness grew, so too did the conversation around the role of therapy and support animals in everyday life. Community forums, both online and in person, were filled with stories from individuals who had experienced similar moments of unexpected heroism from their pets. The hashtag Guardian Rocky began to trend, with thousands of comments and posts praising the incredible bond between the Smith family and their Pitbull. Many shared how their own pets had alerted them to dangers or simply provided comfort during difficult times, creating a mosaic of narratives that celebrated the quiet heroism found in everyday life. In schools and community centers, educators began to incorporate the story of Rocky into lessons on emergency preparedness, animal behavior, and even empathy. Workshops taught children how to recognize signs of distress in both humans and animals, encouraging them to cultivate a sense of care and responsibility toward their surroundings. Art projects, creative writing contests, and interactive safety drills all featured themes drawn from the Smith family's experience, turning a moment of crisis into a lasting educational legacy. The ripple effect of Rocky's actions was felt far and wide, inspiring a new generation to value the unspoken communication that often saves lives. Local government officials, too, were moved by the incident. In town hall meetings, residents and policymakers discussed ways to bolster public safety, not just through technological advancements but also by acknowledging the role that compassionate, well-trained pets could play in our communities. New initiatives were proposed, ranging from funding for emergency response workshops to community grants aimed at supporting animal-assisted therapy programs. We must learn from every experience, one council member stated during a particularly poignant meeting. Rocky's heroism reminds us that the smallest actions, driven by love and loyalty, can have the biggest impact on our collective well-being. His words resonated deeply, contributing to a broader, more inclusive vision of community safety that valued both human innovation and the innate abilities of our animal companions. As spring finally broke through the lingering chill of winter, the Smith family's journey took on a note of cautious optimism. Their home, once the site of a terrifying emergency, now served as a symbol of renewal and hope. With each day that passed, they found themselves more vigilant, more prepared, and more appreciative of the life-saving role that Rocky played in their daily existence. Family gatherings, once overshadowed by the memory of that harrowing night, transformed into celebrations of life and resilience, occasions where stories of gratitude and shared strength were passed down from one generation to the next. In reflective moments, Mark would often recount the events of that night to friends and strangers alike, his voice filled with a mix of wonder and sober realization. "It's incredible," he would say, "how one moment can change your entire perspective on life." Rocky wasn't just a pet, he was a guardian angel who showed us that in the darkest times, love finds a way to shine through. His words, simple yet profound, echoed through the community, reinforcing the idea that true strength lies in the unbreakable bonds we form with those who care for us, whether they walk on 2 legs or 4. By the time the next season arrived, the story of Rocky's timely alert had woven itself into the very fabric of the community's collective memory, Local media continued to revisit the narrative, producing follow-up segments that documented the lasting impact of the incident on public safety initiatives, community preparedness, and the transformative power of the human-animal bond. The Smith family, while forever changed by that critical night, emerged stronger and more united, committed to ensuring that the lessons learned would never be forgotten. The enduring legacy of Rocky's actions was celebrated at an annual community safety fair, where the story was shared through interactive displays, expert talks, and live demonstrations of animal alert behaviors. Residents gathered to honor the quiet heroism of a dog whose intuition had saved a life. And the event became a beacon of hope for those who believed in the power of vigilance and compassion. Photographs of Rocky, captured in moments of quiet alertness and gentle companionship, adorned the walls of community centers and served as a constant reminder that sometimes our greatest protectors come with fur and a wagging tail. In academic circles, the incident sparked research into the potential for training domestic animals to detect early signs of medical emergencies. Collaborative projects between local universities and healthcare providers explored the underlying mechanisms of canine olfaction and the physiological changes that accompany severe allergic reactions. Preliminary studies indicated that, with the right training, dogs could indeed become highly effective early warning systems, capable of alerting their owners to subtle changes in their health long before symptoms became severe. These findings were published in reputable journals and presented at conferences, further validating the extraordinary capabilities exhibited by Rocky on that fateful night. As time passed and the community continued to heal, the story of Rocky's vigilant intervention became more than just a tale of crisis. It evolved into a symbol of hope and resilience. The Smith family now advocates for emergency preparedness and animal-assisted health interventions, continued to share their experiences through public speaking engagements, social media campaigns, and community workshops. Their message was clear and resonant, that love, vigilance, and a well-trained pet can be the most powerful tools in safeguarding life, even in the face of invisible threats. In quiet moments on clear, starry nights, as the family gathered on their back porch to gaze at the heavens, they would remember the night when a gentle bark and a loyal heart had transformed fear into hope. Rocky's legacy was not confined to the memory of a single incident. It lived on in every act of care, every neighbor's smile, and every community initiative inspired by that life-saving moment. And as the Smith family continued their journey, ever vigilant, ever grateful, they knew that the unbreakable bond with their guardian, Rocky, would always light the way forward.